Hello and welcome. Today I want to go over some flashlights that I have, and I've broken them down into 4 different groups for my EDC carrying purposes. And the reason why I did this is some lights are really good for a secondary use, backup use, and other lights are generally good for a primary use or for, let's say, an ornate kind of use. So starting from left to right, we'll go over the categories briefly. On the left side, we have the lightweight type lights, which are pretty good for backup lights here. Easy carry type of lights for keychain. Typically they'll go combined with any of these lights here on the right, and you can have a set of them, one for backup and one for primary use. Primary being heavy duty use, and if that light goes out, if the batteries die too quickly or something happens, you lose it, you can always fall back on the secondary light area here. Now you can EDC these lights if you want as a primary light. Of course, nothing isn't set in stone, but this is kind of my philosophy on it. So on the left side, these are more on the secondary, and getting closer to the middle, we have more of the primary type lights. So second group here, we still have a secondary type light, but you can use them as a primary light as well. We have AAA lights and AA lights here, so they're going to be more easily found with battery replacements in stores, for example, which probably upgrades them to their primary type status, in my opinion. Plus you can have rechargeable AA lights too, and that works well with a lot of the systems that I have out in the field where I use rechargeable AA batteries. Now in the center here we have some 18650 lights here. We have the Fw3T in titanium, and we have a Warrior Mini. These type of lights generally have better run times than these lights here on the left, and higher lumen outputs and sustained outputs. Generally on medium settings for brightness levels, these lights here will be equivalent to some of these lights on their high or secondary high modes, and it will run a lot longer and much more efficient in terms of thermal energy output as well. Moving over to the right, we have the more ornate kind of lights. We have a UV light, and we have 2 copper lights. So these are more for the fancy kind of dress kind of lights. They're heavier in some cases, or they just don't, they're very useful for a specific niche of thing. So that's sometimes what I carry is an ornate light as my EDC type of light, and a specialty light if I need it for work. I'm going to go over the lights on the table so you know what lights are which. Starting on the left here, we have the Mecarmy X4S. This is a an aluminum light with a 10180 battery. We have a Cyansky M2. This is an internal light, small keychain thrower light. We have the Cyansky M3 in titanium. This is a 16340 battery operated light with the SST20 emitter inside. And then we have the O Pen 02 in copper. So this one is a combo light where you can write with the pen, you can disconnect the light on top here, and you can charge it via USB-C as well. So this is a specialty light in some cases, but I consider it a small light in the sense that it runs on an internal battery as well, similar to some of these. Moving over to this category, we have the I3t. This is a AAA light, 2 modes. We have I5t. This is a AA light. Both of these are made by Olight as well. And then over here we have a combo 14500/AA battery type light. This is the Skilhunt E2a. It's one of my favorite lights out of the bunch because it's a very low cost light, but it comes in a SST20 emitter, which is a neutral white high CRI type emitter, and that's my preferred type emitter personally. Now this one can also run on AA's or 14500s, which makes it a very useful primary light. So you can switch out different types of batteries when you're using it under heavy conditions, and you can still have light. That's why I would consider this one more of a primary light. Moving over, we have the heavier duty type use lights, primary lights. This is the Fw3T in titanium. This runs on an 18650 battery. This has a Nitra 219C emitters in it in a triple format. And then we have the Olight Warrior Mini, which also is an 18650 type of light, but it's only got a single emitter. This has some really good run times on it, and some really good high output modes on it as well. And it has a rechargeable system that works with it very well. We can stick it on the back of the light here, and you can charge it via a cable. So this is a pretty much easy to use light. It's streamlined, seamless in terms of its integration. Moving along from the heavy duty stuff, we get to the ornate stuff, or the specialty type lights, which is the i5 UV. As I mentioned before, this has a, I think, 395 or 365 nanometer wavelength. Anyway, this is a specialty light that runs on one AA battery, much like the I5t, and it can run for about 40 minutes or so. So you use this for like chemical spills and blood trails and whatnot, things of that nature. We have the Lumintop LM10. This is a triple light, much like the Fw3T. In fact, they're almost the same exact light internally speaking, but obviously looking at them, they're very different. One's copper, one's titanium, but they run on Anduril UI, and they both use an 18650 battery. This one only has an SST23 emitter setup, unlike the Fw3T, which has a 219C triple setup. Slightly different variations in the LEDs, but then again, they're both very high CRI type emitters. Moving along, we have the last light here, which is the Emisar D4V2. This is a specialty light in that it's a very ornate type of light, but it also is the only light on the table that has aux lights in it, as you can see here. And on the switch, we have lights as well, so you can find the button at night. So this one also runs on a 18650 battery, and it has a little bit more options in it in terms of the aux LEDs. You can change the colors, etc., on it, and the brightness levels. So it's a very customizable light. It also runs on the Anduril UI, a little bit modified than the LM10 and the Fw3T. So that is the 4 different categories of lights that I have on the table. I thought you guys might like that, and seeing how I kind of break them down and what I use them for. Thanks for watching.